Hello and welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project. And thank you so much for tuning in. I always appreciate it. And of course, I have a fabulous guest with me today. And he has an amazing, very inspiring story with a lot of fantastic tips that we can all learn from. So I'm so excited to have him here. He's originally from Pakistan, and he's going to tell us more about that. His name is Amir Siddiqui, and he is a yogi, author, life coach in the making, and fierce advocate for personal growth. Amir's recently published book is titled From Suicide to Serene, which is part memoir and part self-help based on his 8-year-long journey of healing and personal growth. He shares how he transformed his life to overcome emotional, mental, and physical challenges. Amir believes that being happy and healthy is a journey, not a destination. Amir, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on your show. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and you have such an incredible story. And that's actually what caught my eye when I saw your profile. And I thought, I need to get this guy on the show because the things that you talk about, I think, are so important. And I love how you pulled so many different, parts of health and the path to happiness together and put it in a book and share it now with the world. So just tell us right from the beginning what happened and how you began this incredible journey.
Sure, I love to. So let's go back to my childhood.
Mhm.
Uh, I have physical, mental, and emotional ailments since my childhood. And
Mm.
I believe it's because I went through a complex trauma in my childhood and a later time of life.
Mhm.
And I had, experienced anger, fear, resentment, bitterness, jealousy, rage, almost all emotions on a predominant basis.
Mhm.
And sick mind leads to sick body and vice versa. And as such, I also develop physical ailment such as chronic constipation,
Mhm.
chronic cough, and other issues as well.
Mhm.
And this sick body and sick mind wreak havoc in all parts of my life, from
Mhm.
social life to personal life, to
Mhm.
work, to sleep, you name it.
Mhm.
And my life was so miserable that
Mhm.
I don't care to be alive. Matter of fact, I was suicidal from uh, two- 2002, 2001 to 2002, 2 years. I was suicidal. Now,
Wow.
I did not make any attempt, but I had a thought I was going to take action. I did not. So that is how it was. And it's not that I did not do anything to improve. Matter of fact, I did whatever I could do. I took every medicine you can think of, such as Abilify, Zoloft, Paxil, Depakote, Risperdal, Lithium, Xanax, and Effexor. And
Wow.
furthermore, I had 55 sessions of cognitive behavior therapy and counseling. Unfortunately, neither medicine nor therapy helped me in a meaningful way.
Mhm.
And I believe it's because these therapies are good, don't get me wrong, uh, but they don't work well with the issues and challenges lies deep in subconscious mind.
Mhm.
And there are other modalities out there, such as EMDR or hypnotherapy. They work well with these deep issues like trauma and those things. Unfortunately, I was not aware at that time. Neither
Mhm.
did my doctors. So life goes on, and I got my breakthrough on June 2015. And funny how life works. I got enrolled into a 1 year self-development program coached by Bob Proctor.
Mhm.
And my intention was improving my income, not myself.
Mhm.
But at the end, I become a better version of myself.
Mhm.
Although it took me almost 8 years to, to get where I am, but that's what I said, it's a journey. I tried so many modalities. I went to a Hoffman 1 week retreat process. I did Reiki. I had hypnotherapy session. I had cognitive behavioral therapy session, as I mentioned earlier. I had some EMDR. I had neuro-linguistic programming. I consulted a functional medicine doctor. I went through. I did fasting. So, but the good thing is I am where I wanted to be, happy and healthy. So
Mhm.
what I say is the journey is not an event.
Mhm. Well, you certainly look like you're very happy and healthy, so it's nice to see.
Thank
But
you.
you know, when you say that it did take you 8 years, and 8 years, it seems like a long time, especially when you're the one going through that process. But it really isn't. I mean, because to be where you were before, you know, with as you know, sick in mind and body and spirit, even as you were, to make that transformation is pretty remarkable to be able to do it in 8 years. And it seemed like, you know, you had so much internal wisdom to know when things weren't working for you and to explore other more alternative methods.
Yeah. So in 1 year coaching program in 2015, I did not improve much, but I acquired an understanding that I could improve my life for better. So
Mhm,
when belief change and have the belief and belief will create the reality. So one small change in part of my belief, yes, I could create my life. From there on, I just tried one thing after another. It's even though improvement is small, but I was happy to move forward. I knew
mhm,
I had no other option. The two options I have, either I live a miserable and
mhm,
unhealthy life, or I can do what I can do to improve myself. So uh, it's a choice, but I don't see a choice, for me. I had to do what I had to do.
mhm. Well, I like the fact that you said small changes and small improvements, because I think when we're in the thick of, you know, whatever we're going through, the storms of life, we want to change things so quickly. We want things so badly to turn around. But we have to remember that even tiny little small changes really add up and make a big, big difference in the end. But we just have to be patient and, like you said, keep moving forward.
That's correct. That's correct. And that's why I wrote my book, because so many books out there, they only discuss either the component of spiritual health or mental or physical. They don't want to mention all those components in one book. So I wanted to write a book that can comprise all three components, not just say, oh, you do this course or that therapy and you are healed. Now, it may be true for some people, don't get me wrong. So everybody has their own baggage, their own problem, and I had mine. I had severe issues, so it took me much longer, but you know, we are all unique individuals. It may not take other person to take 8 years, maybe take couple years. So
Mhm. Well, I like the fact too that you said we are all unique individuals, because there's no such one size fits all answer to anybody. And that's why I just get so annoyed when, like, even in traditional medicine, people are kind of put in a box. And this is the diagnosis, this is the treatment, and you either get better or you don't. And we're all so different. You know, we all have different history, biology, physiology, but we all, I think, inherently want the same thing, which is to be healthy and happy.
I agree 100%.
Mhm,
And you are right about traditional medicine doctor. That's the experience, I have. Now, of course, if somebody has a severe depression or severe issues, it's good to take medicine for a time being, but
mhm,
person has to search for in, altern, alternative therapies to
mhm,
see why the issue is there and how I can heal, not just
mhm,
manage symptoms.
mhm,
Unfortunately, all they do is manage symptoms. So
mhm.
that's my experience. So
Yeah, well, that's my experience as well, and I am a member of the medical field, so, kind of retired now, but, yeah, 40 years of working in there kind of opened my eyes to a lot of different things, but you did mention, that you saw or maybe you still see a functional medical doctor?
I did, I did. And he helped me a lot because he treated me the whole person, not just symptoms. So
Mhm,
uh,
mhm.
he he helped me improve my health much more. So
Yeah, I see a naturopath and I absolutely love her. I saw one probably about 20 years ago when I was going through a rough time, and he just really, I mean, made a tremendous difference. Just helping to get that your health on a cellular level kind of just back on track really does make a big difference. Now, you had said that you were on like a ton of medications at one point.
yeah, yeah, not taking all medicine at the same time, but trying different medicine. So suppose you try a Depakote for maybe a month and a half, and it did not help me. Even they make me even angrier or give me
Ugh,
different side effects such as sleepiness or uh, nausea, things like
mhm.
them, and you say no, did not work, and they give you different medicine. They change dosage, they change different medicine, but no, they did not help me. What they do basically, I think, they numb your mind, so
Mm,
you don't think about. And
mhm.
it's good if you have tons of money and you sit in your park or some beach house and do nothing. But if you want to move towards your goal and do something with your life, then how could you function if your mind is numb? So that's my
Exactly.
question.
Exactly. So at what point did you kind of say, I'm done with this. This isn't working for me. I need to figure this out on my own. Did you have a moment like that where it's like this big epiphany or a light bulb went off that it was like, this isn't working. I've got to try something different.
So as I said, I tried medicine, I tried cognitive behavior therapy, I tried counseling, and they did not work. Now, at that time, I did not know all those alternative medicine and therapies out there and how I could work with it. So I just resigned to my fate. What will be, will be. Uh,
Mhm.
it is my life. I am miserable. I am unhealthy, and nothing I can do about it. And again, it goes to your belief. That's the belief I have. Like, I don't have power within me. And of course, that changed, but it took much longer time in 2016 when I got done with this course, a 1 year program. So I learned about conscious mind, subconscious mind, body, how they work together, and and why we do what we do, how we are what we are, how we acquire belief, and more importantly, I have everything within me. I just have to understand how to use my potential. That it's all about belief. So it come, but it comes pretty slowly though for me.
Yeah. Well, I think for everybody. But when you finally realized that you had that power within yourself, what was that like? Was it, just encouraging? Was it liberating? Was it terrifying? Because it's like, okay, I do have the power, but what do I do with it and how do I tap into it? What was that like?
Like that's the journey. So you feel encouraged, you feel hopeful because uh, I mentioned my book too. Suicide is more about hope. Suppose I have a worse life. I am sick, I'm broke, and I am just at a miserable life. But I have a hope, yes, it can improve. So I don't think you want to commit suicide or think about it. Uh, but once you lose hope that nothing I could do, then of course some people can think about suicide. So back to your question, it was felt hopeful, encouraging. Uh, you know, I was excited, enthusiastic, and just keep uh, doing new therapies, new modalities, new techniques. Uh, that's how it was. So
When you started this incredible journey, did you focus first of all, like, okay, now you understand that you've got that power inside of you to heal yourself. Did you start focusing more on, mental health, emotional health, physical health, or did you just try everything all at once.
No, not anything. It's all about financial. So I wanted to earn more money. That's what I said. Life never ceases to amaze me how it works out. So I got enrolled into program, and my intention was to improve my income, not myself.
How'd that work out for you?
It, it worked out, yeah. That's correct.
That's funny. Okay, so even as you were going through this journey, you were also going through a divorce as well. Is that true, or is that right?
Yeah, so let me tell you in a sequence how it started.
Mm,
So I got married in 2014 and 15, and I knew I could not even survive with income I was making, and I had to improve my income. That
mm,
was my thought. That's what I think about. How do I do that? But at the same time, I knew physically, mentally, emotionally, I am weak. I was weak at that time, so I could not work longer hour or take
mhm,
second job, anything like that. So I watched movie Secret, uh, and I've watched many times. I love this movie Secret,
mhm,
and I I've watched many times. It made me feel good, but movie did not have one component: call to action. Sure, those are the laws, but how do I do? What step can I take to make this thing a reality? So I've kept watching movies, I think 11 times, of course, in a 4 or 5 year span, not just one time. And eventually I got a hunch. Why don't I write down the names of teacher in the book? So which I did about John Azaraf, Ibrahim Hicks, Bob Proctor, Marcy Shimoff, all those things. And then I searched with those names, and I found a course from Bob Proctor, a 1 year, a 1 year development course where he gives a live webinar and live coaching once a week. And the promise was to improve your health, happiness, and wealth. Now, of course, my focus was not health or happiness, because I thought at that time, if you have the wealth, you can automatically become happy and healthy. Of course, which is not true. I did not know at that time. So it cost a lot of money at that time, almost $7,000. So I got enrolled with 4 payment plan, and I did whatever you told me. I wrote the book you suggested. I watched those webinar over and over again. So I did all those things. And it says the key is repetition. You do over and over and over and over again till it goes into subconscious mind. And then, of course, I got believe, yes, I could improve my life. And sure, it did not happen at the end of the course, even the next year, but uh, that is how I move forward.
Did it shock you when you finally realized that the key to a better life was not improving your wealth?
Yeah, so that's what I mentioned in my book, that wealth is important. Don't get me wrong, it is important, but it means to uh, to live a happy, healthy life. Just a means. It's not a goal or end. Sure, you want to have enough income to live the life you want to live, but you also have to be happy. You also have to be healthy, peace of mind. Uh, focus what you want to do. All those things. So,
Mhm. So now, at what point did you then decide that you wanted to become a life coach? And at what point did you decide to write the book? What came first, the book or the life coach plans, or did they come at the same time?
yeah, that is a great question. So I would say in 2021, somewhere at the tail end of my journey, I've seen some life coach, and they are great, but I always wonder about one thing. I mean, you can learn so many things in book or curriculum, but if you have not been, you know, suicidal or experience all those emotions like anger, resentment,
Mm,
fear, bitterness,
mm,
jealousy, envy, all those, you cannot relate to, you know, how person feels. Uh,
mhm,
you know, like if you go to doctor, they're gonna say, oh, go take cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's the gold standard. is great. But if you have a trauma and it lies in deep subconscious mind, it did not work. And I spoke with many people, even therapist himself, they went through EMDR and hypnotherapy. So I went through so many therapies, so many modalities, and I said, now I heal myself and I have so much understanding, not just knowledge, but understanding I acquired. So how could I, impact the world? And two
Mhm.
things came to mind. One is the life coaching, one is the book. I believe book is a strong medium because all you have to spend 10, $15 and you buy a book. And if you read mindfully, it can make a huge impact. I don't think anybody can, make a huge impact in such a low price in my knowledge. So I believe book is a strong medium to to make impact. And life coaching is so personal that you can go this way. And and also being through, all those things, some people always focus on your mindset, which is good.
Mhm.
I believe that. But I also believe, I experimented with healthy diet, how it helped me. So if you do all three level at the same time, at least, you know, it can help you much faster. So I always think that if I had the book I wrote in 2022, it would help me a lot. Now, of
Mhm.
course, that book wasn't there. I know that, but book is there now. So that was the premises of writing this book, and that's why I write this book.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask you about the process of writing the book because I've written two so far and I'm working on a few more, so I know what the process was like for me. But what was it like to sit down and put all of these thoughts and these techniques and the integration of all of these wonderful things to improve your life? How did you put that together and put it in a book? Was it overwhelming, or what was the process like for you?
Yeah, so I wrote a book. It was the initial draft. Took me a 3 months. It has all those techniques, props, modalities, like how to sort of a self-help book. But I consulted a book launching company and I show my draft, and they have a writing coach too. Let's say if you write a book, it also have a stories is better because, and I'll tell you why. So if you have a stories, it can inspire you. So we have a two side of brain. One is emotional, one is intellect. So some self-help book, they have all those trophies, but what they lack is inspiration,
Mhm.
something to inspire you, something to, move you, say, yeah, I want to do that. So create a picture. And then some books have stories that can inspire you, but they don't have any step-by-step process or
Mhm.
modalities or thoughts what to do about. So, and I always say, inspiration without uh, action, it's entertainment. You
Mhm.
get, oh, like watching a movie, secret is good, is great. Now, after a couple hours, it goes down. So he suggested me to write a book has both inspiration and practical steps to take. So
Mhm.
both a self-help book and a memoir. So
Mhm.
it can uh, you know impact your emotional mind as well as logical mind.
Mhm.
So then I went through my all those life, not all things, but thing happens to me, stories that have some lesson, some has value, uh, can inspire people. So I added into my book. So
Mhm.
that's how process started. It took me another 3 months to add stories, inspiration with techniques, then of course uh, editing and book proofread references, so many things. It took so much work. I don't know if I knew it is so much work, I would not have wrote this book. So let me give you what
Yes. Yeah.
one piece of work.
Yeah. I felt the same way. And even with my first book, once it was, getting close to being published, and I kept reading everywhere that, when you write a book, once the book is written and it's published, that's when the real work begins. And I thought that can't possibly be true because it was a
Yeah,
whole lot of work writing that book.
yeah,
And like you said, once it was all said and done, it was like, if I had known it was going to be this difficult, and so much work, I don't think I would have done it. But then I ended up writing a second book, and now I'm working on a third one. So, beware, this app might happen to you. But I love the fact that you have the storytelling along with the techniques, because that really helps draw readers in, and they can really relate to you as an author and a human being. And then the techniques that you use have a lot more value and importance too, because putting the two together really make a difference. So that was actually brilliant.
thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. So my next question is, when the very first time you held your book in your hands, what was that experience like?
That is also a great question. A great question. I felt great. I felt accomplished. Also, I felt, man, I did so much work, but now I have to promote my book. So you have to understand, being a first time writer, it's not easy. So no matter how good the content is, which I believe it is from people's feedback, people don't know you. And so many books out there, and you know, so promote on uh, website, Instagram, Facebook, uh, website, all those things. So now I have to do much more work. So that's the answer to your question. Yes, accomplish, yes, great, but at the same time, man, now too much work. So that's
Yeah.
that true answer, honest answer.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a very common reaction, I think, with most authors. But I have to tell you that I love the cover of the book, and I absolutely love the title. I think that really, really draws people's attention.
Thank you. So I was told by some people, don't write this title. And I said, yeah, his book is not about suicide or how to prevent suicide, how not to suicide. Like Dr. Mark Hammond always say, I don't treat people illness. I just teach them how to create health. Once you have health, any disease will go away. So same thing in my book. It's all about being happy and healthy, not about suicide. But
Mhm.
the reason I put this title just to show two different states of mind. So one, I was suicidal in 2001, 2002 at that time, and what I become serene in 2001, ending and early this 2022. So I wanted to just show two extreme state
Mhm.
mind I was there. So that's why name came. It's not
Mhm.
about suicide, just make myself clear.
Yeah, no, the contrast is just absolutely powerful, and it's wonderful. And then what was I going to ask you? Oh my gosh, it was right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, something about the book. Uh, oh no, I remember what it was. Okay, so you're
Yes.
talking about this, and you even gave me like some of the dates, and like in 2001, that's when you were suicidal. If you could have seen back in 2001, if you could have looked into the future and saw where you were now in 2023, what would you have said if somebody looked into a crystal ball and said, this is where you're going to be, Amir, this is where your life is going to be, you're going to be a published author, you're going to be training to be a life coach, you're going to be living with serenity every day of your life, what would you have said?
I would not have believed. I said, you are lying. That's the honest answer. Because I tell you, how we do people. At least I was. Either you worry about our future. Oh, I will go bankrupt. I will have accident. I will have disease. So worry about future or angry about past. We think about only two ways: angry or regret,
Mhm.
past and future. We don't live in present, number one, and we don't use our imagination to create a great vision and life we want to live. We don't do that. And that's normal. That is how I was. So,
Mhm.
and still am sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I
Well, we're
wanted to
not
be,
perfect and we're all still
no,
works in progress. And like you even said yourself, it's not a destination, it's a journey.
that is, that's what I believe. So, no, I'm far from perfect, but,
Yeah.
you know, I'm much better than I was.
Yes. Don't you hate it when somebody just takes your own words and throws them right back at you?
I love it. I love it.
So, one of the things that you talk about is mindset, and you've already mentioned it a couple of times. When you had all of those, and I'm gonna call them negative emotions, that might not be the right word, but things like the anger, resentment, jealousy, the bitterness, all of those things just I mean, even as you were mentioning those words, I was thinking of them like boiling in a pot, inside yourself, just and that's basically what some of those emotions do. They just tear us apart internally, which is why it has such an incredible impact on our health. So, how do you go from all of those emotions and slowly, I know it doesn't happen overnight, to be able to flip the script and turn it into more of a positive mindset, positive outlook? Even, anger, I think in a lot of ways is very healthy as long as it's expressed in a healthy way. But, how did that happen? And how long did it take for you to be able to just kind of like flip that around?
Okay. So let me try to answer the best I can. First, let me go with the anger. Anger was my most strongest emotion. But the problem with anger is how do you express? Uh, I used to express in three different ways. Sometimes aggressive outburst, and sometimes passive aggressive. Like you're angry, but you're not expressing, but you just, oh, could you please move your tray? And you just put it, boom, drop. So you don't, react face to face, but you do think, in a passive aggressive. And then you do sometime aggressive, passive aggressive, and I forgot uh, one other way, three different ways. So that's how you do. But anger is anger, depending, how you express.
Mhm.
Now, uh, back to your question. Uh, now, first we have to realize we're not our emotions. So I have anger, but I'm not my anger. I have fear, but I'm not fear. We have our
Mm,
emotions. Emotion change. But of course, it's easy to say for me now. Uh, I mean, again, I hate to say same word. It's a journey. You have to know yourself. It's not about knowing world. It's not about knowing something else, knowing about you. You know, how you react, how you respond, what your beliefs are, your deep belief, why you do what you do, how you acquired your belief from your mom or your dad or society, how you program two different ways. You program genetically and program environmentally. So even trauma or those things can go back to seven generation. We're learning now, seven generation, and even direct from your mother and father, and then you have a problem from environment, it's school and neighbor and relative and all those. That's how we program. But again, the key is to know yourself, you know,
mhm,
who you are. Uh, and then once you know yourself, you eventually know, yes, I get angry, but you not, say, I'm angry. I have anger, but, but it's not me.
mhm.
I'm not my fear. I'm not my emotions. And, that's how you do. And of course, there are many techniques. And the most beneficial for me was meditation. So I tried many, many modalities, but of course, meditation is also really worked well for me.
Is that how you got into yoga, or did you start doing yoga and found meditation through yoga? Because you do say you are a yogi.
Yes, I do practice hatha yoga. I do. Uh, Actually, I tried both at the same time.
Mm,
So I wanted to do yoga and meditation both. Uh, in 2020, that's what I started. Now almost 2.5 years.
mhm,
So I do yoga not every day, although I like to. Meditation I do every day
mhm,
now. So
mhm.
uh,
So
that's
that's the
that.
part of your physical. exercise, because you do have all of the components of what you integrate to have a happy life, a happy, healthy life. With let me see, where is I going with the yoga? Okay, because you do say that exercise is one of the techniques, an important component of having the healthy life, healthy, happy life. I always tell people, I laugh because I tell people that I'm a physical therapist who hates exercise and thinks that chocolate is food, because it is. But I do hate exercise, but I love to move. And so what I hear, just as somebody who's not a huge fan of like exercise or going to the gym, and I know a lot of my listeners feel the same way, but there are so many other movement modalities out there that you can do for physical and mental health, and yoga is one of them.
Yeah, so let me just, since you mentioned, let me just go briefly. So I do yoga, but with yoga, only thing is it does not burn your cardio, does not give you oxygen. So I walk 5 days a week, half an hour, 5 days a week. So I walk. That's what I do every day, like meditation. And
Mhm,
I like to walk in nature as compared to in the gym. And number two, I do exercise like squats, push up, and sit-ups uh,
mhm,
2 days a week. So I do those things because yoga does help, but it lacks certain things. So I have to do my cardio, walking,
mhm,
and squat, push up as well, 2 days a week.
mhm.
So that's how I do. But
And
yoga I do most for my stretches, most my stretches and more to see my body and, body and mind
mhm.
alignment. So
Well, and you also love kayaking, and let me see, what was the other one? I know I wrote it down. It was kayaking, and I can't remember what the other one was. But you also do something that you really love to do, because you said you love getting into nature, which is something that is so incredibly powerful for mental health. But you called it forest bathing. And it was like, okay, I have got to ask him about this because I have never heard of forest bathing.
okay. Okay. So forest bathing was started in Japan 1984 to, and then they started doing this practice and they call Kinkyukyu. I don't know how I pronounced right in Japanese. It's Shrin dash Kou, Kinkyukyu. And they find it has so much benefit, physiological, physical, mental, emotional. And matter of fact, I devoted a whole chapter, that is chapter 4 in my book about forest bathing. So how I got started and the benefits has for your depression, for blood pressure, uh, your emotions, and so much more. And how I do it too. So and if you, nowadays there are many books out there about forest bathing. So it's becoming sort of a movement, I would call it, forest bathing. They have a guide, they have a coaches, they have a program, all those things. That is now how I started. Let me just go briefly how I started. So it was, it was 2000, I think 2012 or 13, somewhere there. So I was living my angry, unhappy life. I go to my job, and I shared my book, driving so many miles, 60, 70 miles, driving all over and having fight with customer, argument, just, awful. Come home, just lie in my bed and watch movies and sleep. That is how I was.
Mm,
So, uh, and funny again, how life works out. So one day, I, s- I don't know why I read no books. Nobody asked me. I said, let me just go to nearby park. And luckily, I had a park walking distance, 5 minutes walking distance. I went there. I just sat there quietly, no thought, no cell phone, nothing. I just sat there for an hour. Now, I felt great and I came home. I went to sleep. So I don't know why it's happening or what's the science behind it, but I said, let's do it again. So I did it almost a month, 30 days. Go there, sit there. when I come from my job evening time, and I felt great. My anger become lessen, uh, my sleep become better. I felt better. Of course, I did not heal, but I was much, much better. So I knew the power behind this thing. So started going to nature. And and then I found out after 2, 3 years, somewhere down the line, about forest bathing and science behind. And science says when you go to nature, all the plants and this they emit oil, and this oil goes there. You inhale, and that's how you get so much benefit. So now, of course, I know the science behind it, not me. So many more people now, some more like a movement. So many books out there. So that only thing is, I love fall and spring. I love fall and spring because aroma, smell, sight, and sound. So I do more so in fall and spring. And then, of course, winter time. I like winter too. Winter doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the summer, like humidity and bugs and all those things. So I don't do much in summer. And matter of fact, that's one time of year, I'm angrier compared to other 9 months. But that is who I am. So
Okay, well, I can certainly understand. I live here in Colorado, so it does get hot in the summers here, but we don't have the humidity and we don't have the bugs. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania where we had everything. And yeah, it's probably another reason why I live here. So
yeah,
now tell us, Amir, tell us about your coaching program and where you are with that, because as you said, you are like a in transition, or you're a life coach in training. So when will you be certified and when will you start working with clients?
so now let me just say this to be clear. When I was writing my book project, it was a book project took so much not only my time but my finances too. I had
Mm,
to devote this thing to self-published book. I wanted to be the best content. So I am starting out a coaching program, uh, and of course I'm doing a part-time. I'm working a part-time again. But when I wrote a book, I took off from my work, completely off. I guess that's how I wanted to do almost 10 months. So I would be ready, I would say sometime August or end of year. I want to do faster, but you know, life is what it is because I'm also going to Toastmaster about my speaking career. So I'm doing
mhm.
a Toastmaster. I'm writing a bi-weekly blog on my website. So excuse me, I'm not as fast as I could be, but it is what it is. So it's gonna be a little more slower than I anticipated, but it is what it is. Nothing I could do about it.
Well, I think that's amazing. I mean, that's really awesome because you are moving forward
Yes,
and doing
I'm moving forward.
Toastmasters. I mean, that's pretty incredible, very impressive. And then of course, at the same time writing the blog, and I did go to your website. It's a lovely website and very nicely done. So I would
Thank you.
encourage the listeners, please go to Amir's website and check it out. You can get his book through the website, correct?
That is correct.
Mhm.
No, once you go to my website, you will have a link to buy book. So my book
Right,
is on Amazon, Spotify, Barnes and Noble, all different sites. I'm
right.
not selling personally, but there are links you can go there. There's 8 different places you can buy from, either
Mhm.
ebook or paperback version.
Mhm. And you also have links to other podcasts and other recordings that you've done as well.
Yeah, all the podcasts on my website, link is there, and of course a bi-weekly blog. So
Mhm. So how can people get a hold of you? What is the link to your website? Of course, like I told you earlier, it will be on the show notes or in the show notes, as well as all of your social media. But I really like the guests to have the opportunity to
yeah,
say it.
sure. So my website name is the name of my book, From Suicidal to Serene.com.
Mhm.
So Suicidal to Serene.com is the name of my website. And if you go there, uh, I would highly encourage, enter your email address. You will get a 2-page guide. It has some practical tips to start improving your mental and physical health. And those tips are not included in my book. As you know, learning is a journey. So I had to make them up this product for 2 page and you will get it. So if you go there, please see my blog. They're all about EMDR therapy, hypnotherapy, mm, cognitive behavioral therapy, experience I learned from. And I'm going to do about food to other aspect. But enter your email and get the 2 page guide,
Mhm.
so to speak.
And people can contact you also through your website as well. So if anybody has any questions when they listen to this recording, they will have the ability to contact you.
Yeah, once they have a contact form, just put your email address and name and email address to me. Any question, comment, feedback you have, I'm happy to answer. And of course, I am on Facebook too. I'm not as active. Sometime I'm active, sometime not, but Facebook and Instagram too. So,
Well, it seems like you have a lot on your plate. So can't do everything all the time, right?
nope, unfortunately not me. So,
Okay, so Amir, you've told us so much wonderful information you've already shared with us. I love your story. I'm so happy to see you so happy and healthy. What is one final pearl of wisdom that you could leave with the audience that you would like for them to take away from this recording and to start their own journey into health and happiness?
okay. So as I said, I'm gonna give you have to give one tip. I will give same one tip. So if you are have a physical challenge or emotional or mental challenge, understand that you could improve your life for better. I know it's hard to believe. It was hard to believe for me too at the same time. And you may wanna go to a park or nature and just sit maybe half an hour, take your shoes off, barefoot, so your feet can touch the ground, and you connect with the whole whole park with no cell phone, even half an hour. And once you do that, you get in touch with yourself, and you will have answer how you can move forward. Because of course, I tried to give so many answers in my book and my blog, but as I said, we are all unique individuals. So the answer come from higher self, from subconscious mind. That's the best answer, and that's the best learning place. So, and you will get answer faster that way if you just, you know, it won't cost you a penny, maybe 5 minutes walk. I had to park and, it could improve your life and maybe it will tell you what to do next and how to move forward.
Excellent advice. Wonderful. Amir, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. It has been an honor to talk to you. And I am so glad that you are on this wonderful journey and sharing it with other people because I think it will really, really help a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate you doing a podcast. I know it's a labor of love and you're doing a hard work. So I guess we are both trying to uh, our message to listeners so they can get benefit and make an impact. So uh, I'm grateful for what you're doing. So thank you for having me on your podcast.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for being here because I really appreciate you spending your time with us. And
Thank you.
everybody, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you as well. And please do check out Amir's website. He does have some wonderful blog posts. Contact him, check out his book, get those tips that he's got available on his website. And just remember that being happy and healthy is not a destination. It is a journey, and try to enjoy the ride, really. Okay. And that is the way of the FemiNinja.